Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So if you haven't been here before, my name is Beth and I'm a seamstress, but I make knit and crochet content here and on Instagram. So today is just going to be like an overview of pretty much everything that I made this year, like knit wise, slash I guess like a December podcast. I didn't actually film a podcast for November because I don't know, I didn't have anything finished. I feel like I hadn't made a lot of progress on my whips. I was gift knitting, which was just like a long-winded process, and I was also just focused on making stock for my online shop. So I feel like a lot of the knitwear kind of took a bit of a back seat. So yeah, this video is not going to include anything that I made for the shop this year. So like the knit needle cases, the bags, stitch markers, etc. I will leave it linked below if you're interested, but I'm not going to cover any of that. This is literally, I think it's all knit apart from maybe two things that are crochet. You can kind of see like one of them here, and two pairs of trousers that I did sew like earlier in the year. Because they're garments, I just thought I would include them anyway. But yeah, I feel like it kind of goes without saying, this isn't like to brag about what I've knitted or anything. Like everyone makes things at different rates. I do spend a significant amount of time knitting, sewing, like I said, I do work as a seamstress, so I feel like this takes over my life. I do nothing else. But yeah, this is just going to be everything that I made this year. So I'm trying to do this in as chronological order as possible. There may be a couple that like overlap because there's some things that like I started before but then I finished a different whip before it. So this is roughly chronological order of when things were finished. And then I say this is going to be slash a December podcast because at the end of the video I will show you my current whips, because today is actually, what is it today? It's Friday the 27th today, so we do still have a couple more days in 2024, and some of these whips I am most likely going to finish by the end of the year, if not very early in January. And then also in terms of acquisitions, I actually really don't have a lot. I have done very well, pat myself on the back, and I haven't actually bought myself yarn since, I want to say, when I was in Denmark at the end of August, if not then early September. But I got a couple of bits for Christmas that I feel like people might like to see, and I did also place one order of yarn last night, which I will kind of explain when I get to that. So I guess as I go through these pieces, I'll tell you like the different yarns and my thoughts on that. And then yeah, just sort of generally about the piece. And for people that haven't been here before, all of my garments are self-drafted. I haven't followed patterns this year. So the only thing that I have was for some accessories for some gloves, which I think we'll just do all the accessories at the end because it's easier to put them all together. So yeah, unless I specifically say it's a pattern, it's self-drafted, there are a couple of things that I would like to get patterns out for in the new year. One of them being this, which is literally hopefully going to come out in the next couple of weeks because the testing is done. I just need to finish the document. And I'm trying to think anything else I need to say now. I will try and put overlays of either me wearing it in video or photos of me wearing these. I'm not going to get up and try them all on right this second, hence I'm not wearing any knitwear so that I feel like these pieces can shine. But yeah, apart from that, I guess we'll just get on with the video. I don't want too long of an intro. So yeah, the beginning of this year, I didn't actually make anything until I want to say around April time. So again, if you didn't know, I actually graduated from a fashion design degree last year in, I don't even know, like July. So July 2023. and then basically went into a job that meant I was spending a lot of time away from home. I travelled a lot for work, but it was like traveling, so it wasn't even like I could just sit and knit on a train or something. And yeah, basically just series of events. Didn't knit anything essentially from the time that I graduated until April this year. So this first piece is really kind of what got me back into the swing of knitting. So this cardigan is knit in this is the Hobbycraft Cotton Blend yarn. So this is a mix of acrylic and cotton. I think it's almost half and half, maybe slightly more cotton. I will say for an acrylic blend, this yarn does feel very nice. I have a feeling that I held this double, so it is like, I don't want to say it's heavy, but it's got like a bit of weight to it. But yeah, this is just a raglan cardigan, and like I said, this is kind of what spurred me on for the rest of the year. But I will say that I guess learn a lot from this piece. Sorry, I'm trying to do up these buttons. I'm just kind of fiddling with it off camera. But yeah, this neckline is obviously a raglan. This was before I had learned to do German short row shaping in the neck, or I think even I may have even done it in the back neck. Yeah, okay, I think I did it between the back increases, like just here, but didn't have it coming the whole way round. So the first thing was that obviously this sits quite rectangular. Again, I'm hoping that I can either put some photos up or like a clip of me wearing this. But yeah, and then the sleeves as well, I feel like I learned a lot with where to put different decreases and things like that. I should say as well, I think every single one of these pieces is up on my channel in vlogs, like project vlogs and stuff. So if you are interested, they'll be in the thumbnails of the videos. But yeah, this, I love the colour. I like the little buttons and the way that they contrast, but like I said, I definitely learned a lot from this. I mean, I haven't even weaved in the end. This may be a continuous theme as well, is that I don't always weave my ends in. But yeah, after making this, I feel like the thing that I really enjoy about drafting my own patterns is that there's always something new to learn. There's always a new technique that you can incorporate. There's always a new way to make it fit better, or a new colour to try, or you know, anything like that. So after making this, I was pleased with it, and I actually didn't wear this out the house until very recently, like literally in December. But I feel like it was a good piece to get me back into knitting. One thing as well though is that I really don't like to use acrylic anymore for knitting specifically, and the reason is that you can't block it, like you can't wet block it. Like you can steam block it, but just I think the way that you can manipulate garments made in wool after you've knitted them is just a lot better than you can with acrylic, or you have a lot more option. And just, I guess, quality of yarn and just knitting experience. So this is the only thing I think that I made in an acrylic blend this year, but yeah, it is a very nice yarn for an acrylic blend. And if you're someone that doesn't like to use wool, or you are sensitive, I would recommend this blend with cotton. But yeah, this was piece number 1. Another thing before we move on, I just quickly forgot to mention there, the buttons are also way too small for these buttonholes, because I held this yarn double. Even just a 1-stitch buttonhole is quite large, so I don't know. I might honestly take the buttons off of this or frog it at some point. I'm not sure, but I do love the colour. But I did buy some more yarn in Denmark that was very similar to this. So, yeah. So then the second piece that I finished this year, I actually had started in 2023. So I think I started this must have been actually after I graduated, because this is the Drops Daisy. So I started this when the Drops Daisy very first came out. Like, I think I literally ordered it from Wool Warehouse like as soon as it sort of was released. So this is one strand Drops Daisy held together with one strand of the Drops Kid Silk in like the cobalt colour. I don't know exactly what the colour names are now, but whatever this blue is, the Drops Daisy doesn't have that big of a colour range, so you'll be able to tell. But yeah, I started this after I left uni. I was living with my grandparents for a little bit because we were having work done, or like my parents were having work done on the house. So I moved in with them and then started my new job, and then that's where everything went. But so this was like, I want to say a third of the way done. I think I had, so this is obviously, let me just show you quickly. This is a 2x2 rib raglan. Obviously the neckline kind of just continues straight down into the body. So I'm pretty sure when I started re-knitting this, I had basically separated for the sleeves on the raglan, and I had knit maybe like a small portion of the body. So when I finished that red one, I was on like a high. I was like, okay, we're gonna like start a new project. And then I picked this one up because it was literally half finished. So yeah, I literally just had to knit the sleeves, and you'll be able to see there's no specific cuffs or hem or neck or anything. It's literally all continuous. This is this does have like a bit of a crop. I will again try and include either a video clip or photos or something of me wearing it. I actually really like this piece, and so I wore this a little while ago, because the problem is, like, when I finished this, I think it was maybe like May, and so it was just far too hot for like the summer. I'm someone that gets like hot really easily, and I was not gonna sit and wear a essentially like mock neck, relatively, I wouldn't say this is tight fitting, but like this doesn't really have any positive ease. It's just sort of like fits me like a top, I would say. It's not negative ease, but it's not positive ease either. But I could not be dealing wearing this with the mohair so close to skin. So when it actually got cold in December, I wore this, and it was not as irritating as I thought. I thought I had made a mistake by knitting in mohair that was going to be worn against my neck so closely and things like that. But I wore this to work, and it really didn't give me any issues. I feel like I'm not someone that is massively sensitive to mohair. I can see how some people would maybe find it irritating, but the one thing that I wish now that I had done at the time, which again I just hadn't learned how to do at that point, was this has no short row shaping in the neck. So having worn this for a day, I have worn this more than once, but like having worn this for a whole work day, so from like, I don't know, 7 in the morning until like, let's say 6-7 o'clock at night, it's like a good 12-13 hours in like one block of time. The neckline is not as annoying as I thought it would be without short rows. Now having raglans with short rows, I thought like, oh, this is going to be horrible to wear. It is not too bad. When I blocked this, I did try and block with like the back neck higher, and then just made sure that like the bodies were level, so it really wasn't too bad. And I feel like as well, because of where it sits, it's not like a crew neck like this. It's not this low, it's not really too high either. It's sort of, like I said, just more of a mock. So I feel like the front does sit a bit higher, maybe to here, but then the back kind of sits where a crew neck would sit. So it's not like unbearably annoying. It's not like, I know some pieces when you don't have short rows, the front is like kind of really suffocating and the back super low, but yeah, like I said, I don't feel like you get that with this, especially because it's all in rib, so you get the stretch. But I am thinking of writing a pattern for this. I will mention as well as I go through like which ones I'm thinking of writing patterns for, or like if anyone is interested, then obviously just ask in the comments or whatever. But yeah, I'm thinking of making a pattern for this, and what I was gonna do is essentially knit a second sample, maybe in like the next size up or a couple sizes up, so that I have one that has more positive ease, and then in that sample include the short row shaping in the neck, so that in the pattern there's options for both, like maybe more beginner knitters would rather not attempt the short rows, and then obviously more like advanced knitters would probably prefer with short rows. So yeah, that is maybe what I'm thinking. And the other thing as well is that I wanted to maybe knit one without a mohair, like maybe a bit longer, just generally a bit more oversized on me, just so I have the option. But yeah, that is the second one. I'm trying not to spend too long on each piece, but I am someone that rambles on, unfortunately. So I will just say as well, I really liked using the Drops Daisy. I haven't actually used it again since, so maybe that's something I'll work with next year. The thing is that I've heard that it peels really badly if you use it without a mohair. Obviously I did use this with a mohair, so I'm kind of a little bit hesitant to use it on its own if I'm gonna knit a whole thing and then it's like just gonna peel. So I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, I actually do still really like this one. I'm just going to show you these quickly just because they were in, I think, the first podcast that I did this year with those other things. So I sewed these trousers. I actually have never worn these out the house, which is unfortunate. This fabric is dead stock. It was donated to me from my old, well, it was donated to my old university, and then we could pick fabrics out that we wanted. We just had to like give a donation and blah blah blah. But yeah, love this fabric. The only reason I think I haven't worn this is because the waist is slightly too big, and I put a hook and eye in this instead of bothering with a button. I think I just literally need to move the hook and eye over just like a smidge, or maybe even just alter the waistband and just take it in a little bit at the top. I mean, like I said, I'm literally a repairs and alterations seamstress, so it's not a difficult job. My problem is that because I do it for work, I come home and I'm like, I can't be bothered to do my own clothes. So yeah, these are just like really simple straight wide leg trouser. They've got back pockets, and yeah, we won't dwell on the sewing things for too long. The second pair of trousers is just this pair of jeans. This black denim is what I also used for a couple of the shop products. So yeah, that was left over from these. It's got these like contrast seams. It's got like rectangular pockets, bit of fluff as well. These just go the whole way down. These are basically the same pattern that I used for those grey trousers, but just in a pair of jeans. I've got like fly zip going on, and yeah, haven't worn these either. Again, the waist is just slightly too big for me. And the other thing as well is that like the waist, so like when you make trousers, your front waist is lower than your back waist. It's like the same with jumpers, right? Like where you have short rows to raise your back neck, that's same with trousers. And mine is raised, but I think it needed to be raised even more to keep it all level. So yeah, they were the two clothes that I sewed myself this year. 2 clothes, that doesn't sound right, but yeah, anyway. I did also start making like a trench coat, but that's going to be a next year job now because we just did not get to it in time. And like I said, nothing that I sewed for the shop is going to be included, so that was a good other like 50 items. But anyway, back to the knitting. So then after my 2 little raglans at the beginning of the year. Well, I say beginning of the year, like April, May. We then went on to another raglan. This one, however, we finally learned how to do proper short row shaping. So you can see how the short rows come past this first increase point. This is just a really simple cardigan. I am doing a pattern for this. I have started grading it. I need to transfer all of my measurements into stitch counts. This is knit using 2 strands of Drops Flora and 1 strand of the Drops Kid Silk. You will see there's a pattern here. I use a lot of Drops this year. I think it's good budget friendly yarn. So yeah, so this is, I think this is wool and alpaca is the mix in Flora. I should say as well, the daisy is a merino, but it's not a superwash because I actually have beef with superwash yarns. So yeah, this is the cardigan. It's just like, it's a really nice basic, just like everyday. I really love the colour. I think the colourway is called Petrol in the Flora. I'm not sure exactly what it's called in the mohair. It's got 1x1 rib. I also learned how to do Italian cast off for this project. So yeah, all the cuffs, the bottom hem, the button band, the neck, everything is all 1x1 rib, which is a shocker because I'm a real lover of 2x2. You will see, as well as that last piece, there is more 2x2 to come. But yeah, another thing that I learned with this piece was essentially adding the button band before adding the neckline. I know it's so silly, like such a small detail, but it means that the neckline comes across the button band instead of the button band coming up. Like, let me show you compared to the red one. So like, you see how here I did the neckline as part of like the start of the raglan, and so the front button band comes up to the top, whereas on here this comes across. I know it's so silly, but it's little details like that I think that just make things especially nice and how you want them to be. So yeah, like I said, I am actually making a pattern for this. I'm currently grading it. I'm essentially going to knit myself the next size up so that I have one again with a little bit more positive ease. You will probably see a trend that I really love things with a good amount of positive ease on my top half. I'm quite short, but I feel like I've got like a relatively big bust for my height. I'm only like 5'2", so yeah, I'm gonna be releasing this, well, putting out a testicle for this at some point. So if you are interested, definitely I put all of my like up-to-date updates on Instagram. I always say that, up-to-date updates. I put all up-to-date information, testicles, etc. on Instagram. So yeah, I love this piece. This is honestly probably my most worn piece of knitwear this year, and honestly it doesn't even look like it started pilling, like really anywhere, even under the arms, which I feel like is typically where things pill a lot. I think because it is held with a mohair. My second sample that I'm doing is, I'm not going to hold a mohair with, I'm holding it with a really fine boucle. So I am excited to see like the kind of difference in texture. But yeah, this one I feel like was a big slay. I think I love this more because I wear it the most. Like, that's something going forward into next year that I really want to kind of like keep in mind, is just things that are very wearable and that fit me exactly how I want them to, so that I do like reach for them more. So yeah, that's that one. Not too much to say on that one. As always, I just think of something more to say. I also like with this one that I did wider increase points for the raglan. It's actually 4 stitches, so I don't know, I just like the way that that looks. And then this is the back. But yeah, on to the next one. So this next one is like literally the softest thing I've ever felt in my life. This yarn was actually sent to me for free. I don't have to speak about it or anything. It was gifted, so I feel like I should say. So this was gifted to me from Onling, the yarn company brand, I guess. So I actually think that I may have started this before that raglan, but it just wasn't finished until after. I was trying to button it up, it wouldn't work. So they let me pick what yarn I wanted to try. So this is the Onling #1 in whatever the like cream white colour is. I think there's only one, so if you are interested, then it's kind of easy to tell. But this is literally so soft. Like, this has such a nice halo. This isn't held with mohair or anything. This is just literally one strand of the #1 wool, and this bit on the front kind of looks a bit funny because if you were following along on the vlogs at the time, or if you go back and watch them or anything, you will see that I had basically embroidered using a different colour, like using this dark grey in the same one. I think it was like charcoal or something, and then basically didn't like it and unpicked it. And all I need to do is just re-block out the like warpedness, but I just haven't. So this is actually a like drop shoulder, kind of see here where I picked up on the back, just a drop shoulder cardigan, again with the 2x2. I really love the way that this looks on this piece. All of the neck is 2x2, the button bands, the bottom hem, and I just used these really pretty buttons from Hobbycraft. They're like just these really nice little flowers, and I feel like they look so nice with this yarn because it just makes it overall look like quite a delicate piece. I haven't worn this that much because I'm actually terrified that I'm gonna get a stain on this because it's like so cream, and because this yarn just like, compared to some of the other yarns I have, this one does feel quite like luxurious, so I am like a bit scared to ruin it. But the reason this took me so long, firstly, is because I had never knit anything this fine. So this is in 4mm, but I would say that this yarn is a light DK. This is, yeah, she took me a while. We've got some armhole shaping as well, short rows in the top of the sleeves, and basically I think I knit a sleeve twice and frogged it. But basically what it was I essentially made the armholes a bit deep and then had to figure out a decent rate of decrease to get down to the cuff that wasn't giving it like a really horrible triangle shape, but that wasn't like gaping open. But overall I am pleased with this. I feel like I learn a lot. I would not frog this because I would not re-knit it, just because it's so fine. Like, it's all right as it is. There's really no like major issues. It's got like this neckline shaping up here. This was also the first time that I had learned how to do a top down drop shoulder, because I have been knitting for a couple of years. I've been crocheting for a lot longer. I think I learned to crochet like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and I've probably been knitting for like 2 and a bit, 3 years, I would say. But a lot of the things that I had made previously were all bottom up, so this was the first time that I had really taken the time to learn a drop shoulder and go top down. So you obviously have to start off with the neckline and the armhole shaping, etc. And I think I just connected too low. We really could have done with making this a little bit higher up, but overall I think she's super cute. I really do like this yarn. It's so soft. The only thing I will say is you will get fluff on like literally absolutely everything. I feel like I'm actually covered in it right now. It definitely didn't improve with blocking in terms of how much like fluff and stuff was coming off of it. Fluff and stuff. I feel like this would almost be the perfect thing to like wear with a nice dress and like go to dinner, but I'm too scared to wear it to dinner. So I need a good thing to wear this to. But yeah, I literally love it. I just need to wear it more. Another thing as well is that I think this was the first time that I did a folded over collar. I don't even know if you can tell because this yarn is like so lightweight. It's not super bulky, but I just really love the way that it looks on this. So yeah, this is like the neckline. The neckline is a smidge small as well. So this next one, I am actually also gonna be hopefully writing a pattern for, and I guess this kind of goes into the yarn that I've just bought myself, but I'll show you the piece first. So obviously this summer, if you were in any sort of knitting or crafting online circles, you probably know that there was quite a few pieces going around, like, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's the petite knit like cloud sweater, and there were definitely others, but that's just the one that comes to mind, that had the like rolled edge on the edge of the ribbing for pieces, and I literally ate that up. I really like the look of that. It was kind of funny because after that came out, I was like looking through my Pinterest board and realised that I had already pinned so much commercial knitwear that had that feature. I guess I just hadn't really thought about it that much. For the like literally most of what I had knit before this point was cardigans. I realised that I do not own a lot of cardigans, and I own a lot of tops that I like to wear with something open on top because they're like nice tops. So I've been focusing on cardigans, but this one was going back to jumpers. So this is knit using the Rowan Yarns Island Blend Fine held double, and I think, oh, this might be wrong, I think the colourway is parakeet, and I think they're on sale currently on Wool Warehouse for like 56% off or something ridiculous. I'm not sure about when this video actually goes up, but basically I wanted a green jumper. I really love green. I don't know if you can tell, I say as I'm sat on my green bed. But yeah, this yarn is super nice, but it is very expensive. So this yarn is normally, it's like £16 a hank, and I used exactly 12 because I held this double. But the only reason that I bought this for myself was because it was originally 50% off, I want to say, like months and months ago. I think I must have knit this in, or bought this yarn maybe back in June, because this was what I was knitting when we went to Northern Ireland. Again, there's vlogs on this. So this is another drop shoulder with, well, it's just stockinette, 1x1 rib, and as you can see, it's got the rollback on all of the cuffs, on the neck, on the bottom hem. It's got pretty wide sleeves, I would say. So this was a drop shoulder that I did without armhole shaping. So the cardigan was kind of a mix between like a drop shoulder and like a set-in sleeve, like weird combination. But this one's just a straight drop shoulder. So yeah, it's kind of got wide sleeves. There is a rate of decrease, like I don't even know. Yeah, I think you can kind of see it does go in a little bit because I didn't want it to be like unbearably wide sleeved, but it's still pretty wide. And oh my god, I have never played yarn chicken like I played with this. Like when I say I had like this much yarn left at the end on one of my balls, I was so stressed. I think, yeah, like I said, there isn't this is featured in a couple of vlogs, but I really love this piece, and I think it is a mix between the actual garment and between the yarn. So the Rowan Island Blend Fine and also the Rowan Island Blend, because I think this is a fingering, but there is a DK version as well. It's a mix of, let me think, silk, wool and alpaca, I think, are the three, like, I don't know, three-way split. I think it's like 15% silk. But the thing that I like so much about this yarn is it's not rustic, but it's not soft. When I say, okay, so like this jumper that I'm wearing is like I guess you'd say like a sweatshirt, right? And sweatshirts aren't specifically soft, but they're not irritating, they're not itchy, they're not rustic. You wear them and like it almost doesn't bother you. Like you almost don't think about what you're wearing because it just doesn't bother you. That is how I feel about this yarn. It is just like, I don't want to say like a towel, but do you know what I mean? Like there's nothing that makes it go either way. It's just very nice to wear. It's just, yeah, I feel like I don't have the words to describe, but safe to say I really like this yarn. So again, this is, like I said, just a drop shoulder. You can see on the back where I picked up blah blah blah, and then this is the neckline shaping. I did this specifically kind of far out just so that you could, I guess, see the shaping, which I do quite like the look of. But this is actually the yarn that I have just rebought. So like I said, at this current moment in time, this yarn is back on sale on Wool Warehouse for like 56% off, which I think is, it must be a little bit more than when I bought it before, because like I said, this was exactly 12 hanks, like with no leftover. I was really pushing my luck with this. I have just ordered 14, so another 2, and it was the same price as when I bought 12 for this. So I bought a different colour. I'm actually going to knit this again in black because I do want to write a pattern for this. But the differences that I want to make on my second sample are, this doesn't have short row shaping in the back neck. So I would like to do short rows to basically put the shoulders on a slant. All of the features are basically going to be the same. So like the neckline is going to be the same, the main fit of the body, the rolled edges, etc. But this basically sits, I'll see if I can again put a photo or a clip in. This essentially sits between my hips and waist, and I just want one that's longer. I just want one that's like huge, oversized, like lengthwise, so that I can more wear it with like, I love the look of like a mini skirt and then a jumper that sits like just above the length of the mini skirt. And I think for the second sample, I'm going to do a slightly more tapered sleeve, so it's not as wide at the bottom, just again so in the pattern there's a little bit of option, and just for me. So I think the second sample I'm just, yeah, gonna do more decreases in the sleeve, and then there'll just be more option in the pattern. But yeah, overall I really love this. This is probably another one of my most worn pieces this year, as well as that cardigan in the drops flora as well. It was just nice because that's what I took to Northern Ireland, so I feel like I associate it with that trip and like knitting on the plane and stuff. And yeah, it wasn't yarn that I was worried about getting like dirty or anything, because it's just kind of like, I don't know, I'm not going to try and describe that yarn anymore, but I like it. This next piece, I love her. So this is basically last year, well 2023, I knit a jumper. I'll try and insert a photo here, which you probably would have seen on my channel or on my Instagram if you've been around for a little while. I knit it for hobby last year. I didn't like the yarn choice. This is why I have beef with superwash now. But I really loved the like stitch design that I did, and this is something that I'm actually going to be re-knitting in 2025, so you can keep your eyes peeled for that. But it was basically a cable jumper with like eyelets and stuff, and I basically knit a raglan cardigan in essentially like what I would call like a sister to the jumper. So again, I would love to release patterns for these. I just need to figure out how to grade them because they're so heavily like cabled. But this is another raglan cardigan. This is what I would call this stitch I'm calling the Cable's Delight. It's kind of like what's always stuck in my head from the first jumper. So as you can see, it's just a mix of eyelets, cables, and then it's got this, I can't remember what this stitch is called on the back. I think it's like double interrupted rib or disturbed rib or something. I can't actually remember. But yeah, this is the back. So this is actually knit using Drops Nord Held Double, which I know is a sock yarn. So it's a wool, no, I think it's alpaca and nylon, or wool, alpaca and nylon. But the reason that I knitted this in a sock yarn was because I felt like the nylon would make it more like hard wearing, I suppose. So yeah, it's kind of the same as the jumper, but there are a few changes. So I mean, not only is it a cardigan, this stitch on the jumper is a moss, but I feel like a lot of people that knit, or like that design cables, tend to always include a moss stitch or a double moss, which I do love. Like, absolutely, I think it looks great. But I just feel like it's already been done so many times, so I wanted to include something that was a little bit different. So it runs down the back and then on the edge of the sleeves and on this front bit beside the button band. So the reason that I wanted to do this with it running down the sleeves is because I've knit a jumper before that had cables on the very edge and they never block right. They always look weird even when you block them. So I wanted essentially like a panel that wasn't going to be super dependent on blocking like a cable would be, that would just kind of sit flat regardless. And I feel like this one worked quite well. I don't remember what colour this is. I want to say it's like the mid grey. I feel like there's a couple different ones in the Drops Nord. But yeah, again, we've got the 2x2 rib cuffs, folded neckline. This one definitely looks chunkier than the white one, I think, just because obviously the yarn is thicker. I will say this is like kind of not like proper heavy, but it's heavier than some of my other pieces, I think, because it was held double. I think I used maybe 14 balls of this, obviously held double, so like I guess 7 of like something else. This was also the first time that I learned how to do double knitting, and that I would say is probably the one thing that I would go back and change about this piece if I could ever be bothered, which is very highly unlikely. So I don't know if you can see this, like, button band kind of gapes in places and like is kind of warped. I think the reasoning for that is because, I might be wrong, but from my memory I don't think I went down a needle size for the button band. Typically what I do now for double knit button bands is I'll pick up in every stitch, but on a needle that's like a whole size lower. I can't even remember what size needle I used for this, maybe like a 5 or a 5.5, so I should have used a 4 or 4.5. but if I remember right, I think I was out for a picnic with my friends and just didn't have one on me and just picked up in every stitch and didn't change the needle size. So I either needed to pick up at a lesser rate, so like maybe every 2 and 3, or I needed to use a smaller needle size. But beyond that, I do really like this. Has decreases for the arms. I don't know how I'm going to show you this very well. Yeah, you can kind of see here where the decreases will kind of come in under the arms. It's got this panel. Again, this is the same stitch as what's running down the back and the arms and everything. This is just basically down the side of your body. I feel like there's no point putting cables there because you won't see it. So this is kind of what I did. And then, another design feature, I guess, is that the increase points are also these rows of eyelets, and then they kind of like, as they come down, they like trail off and become the border for this section under the arms. So yeah, I was really chuffed with this. This took so long to knit, as I'm sure you can imagine, and I was literally like praying that this was going to be done for when I went to Denmark, because I really want to take it with me, and it was literally dry like the day off. So yeah, this did come to Denmark with me, which I was very pleased about. Yeah, I feel like not too much more to say with this. The other thing is that this also taught me a lot in terms of incorporating German short rows, because obviously I had done the German short rows in my other pieces, but they were just stockinette. This taught me about how to basically include German short rows over something that was very heavily detailed, I would say. So like, for example, where you've got these big cables on the back, or on the front, sorry, mirrors on the back, so I had to figure out exactly how many extra rows the back was going to have compared to the front, because the back has actually got an extra twist so that everything then aligns like further down, and just basically how to continue all the different features and the patterns and the cables and stuff. So I was proud of myself for figuring this one out. I feel like this is definitely the most detailed piece that I made this year. Going forward into next year, definitely want to make more things with cables, and I am going to reknit the jumper for this collection, so hopefully I can figure out how to grade them. No promises. This was another one that I feel like was ongoing for a little bit. So like I said, this is actually the only garment I think that I crocheted this year. So again, in 2023, I knit the OG of this. I'll try and put up a photo here on the screen. This pattern is coming out hopefully in the next couple of weeks, if it's not already out yet. This has gone through testing and everything. I just need to basically do the final draft. So this is my Not Your Granny's Jacket pattern. It's essentially a all over granny square jacket design. This version is crocheted in one strand of Drops alpaca held with one strand of the Kid Silk mohair, because I wanted like a fluffy version. It also has knit rib and details. It's got a collar on. I feel like I'm probably not doing this justice, so hopefully we can put something on the screen right here editing me. But yeah, this has, like I said, gone through testing. My wonderful testers have gotten everything back to me now. I just feel like everyone gets swept away with Christmas, don't they? Just the whole season is just busy. So yeah, I'm gonna be releasing this very, very soon. I feel like I love making granny squares, but my biggest letdown is that I hate weaving ends. So this one was a little bit of an ongoing project. I was just working on this here and there. I would like make the granny squares at work, and then I had to sit and combine it all in one go, but I feel like it's cute. The first sample that I made of this was actually in scrap acrylic from last year, and things like this, okay, I don't mind making in acrylic because they're crocheting, you don't really have to block them as much. But I realised I've been talking for like 50 minutes, so we're going to try and talk a bit quicker for everything. But yeah, if you're interested in this pattern, keep an eye on my Instagram. I will be announcing it there. I feel like as well, because so much of this is drops, I'm not going to dwell on the yarn because I've obviously already spoken about it. So while I was actually in Denmark, I was working on this piece. So this is knit in the Drops Air. As I say, I wasn't going to dwell on Drops yarn. This was actually a new one for me. I really liked this yarn, and this is actually something that I'm currently knitting in. I can't remember exactly what shade of pink this is, but can you see it's got like different kind of colours of pink running through it. So this is what's called a blown yarn. So I think it's got like a polyester tube, and then they like physically blow through the fibres of the alpaca. And so I'm assuming they use like 3 different colours, because it's kind of like an orangey pink, a light pink, and then like a purpley pink. But this, not only was this a new yarn for me, this was also a new type of construction. So this neckline, or this shoulder I should say, is called a European shoulder. This is a little bit wrinkly because she's been in the drawer, but I don't know how's best to hold this up. So these kind of lines on the back here, essentially you cast on and then you increase out, and it basically gives you the same kind of slope that you would get if you basically cast on this whole piece and then did German short rows. So you do that, and then you pick up for the fronts, and then you come forward and shape the neckline, and then yeah, just as per usual, connecting around under the body, pick up for the sleeves. This, I really like the neckline of this. When it's on, it fits like ideal. The only thing is, so I actually had like a whole 2 balls of this yarn left over, and I'm definitely going to go back and make some changes to this and crack into another one of those balls. So this again has got quite wide sleeves, but the thing that I want to do is extend them in length. So when I blocked this, I did stretch them as much as I could, and they kind of fit me like, I kind of like things to like here, right? Like if I put this all the way out, this is quite big, but I quite like things that come to like knuckle length. Is that what you'd call this? This kind of sits at bracelet length, this one. The problem is, I think because it's wide, it looks weird. I feel like they need to be longer to look a bit more normal. So I am going to go back in the new year and extend the sleeves on this. This has just got 1x1 rib for the borders. I didn't really want like a huge rib on this, so it's a very small amount, and then the neckline is also folded over, which I think like functionally for this works because the yarn is quite lightweight. I think if I hadn't done a folded over, I don't think that the collar would have been like, I guess, strong enough to hold the rest of the piece up like over time. So yeah, I am looking to extend that. And then I think where I had stretched the sleeves, like you can see these bits here are like super tight. So I don't know whether if I do this type of European shoulder again, maybe I need to have like a looser tension or something. I'm not really too sure, but yeah, definitely need to make the sleeves longer. But beyond that, I love the colour. I love the colour with my hair as well, low-key. And yeah, really like the yarn. Ordered more as I was working on this. So this next one is kind of not exactly completely finished. This is another raglan. Next year, guys, I am trying to do more things that aren't just raglans. I feel like they're my default. But this is another raglan. This is in drops, alpaca held double, no mohair. This is basically, the main feature of this is it has these huge slits up the side, and then I was essentially knitting straps to like tie them back together, and I just never got around to finishing the straps. This was kind of like, I don't know, I can't actually remember what podcast this was in. This must have been the October one, and then like I said, it didn't film one in November. And I feel like this just got lost amongst all the gift knits and stuff I was doing. So this neckline looks super high, but it doesn't actually sit this high up. It is kind of more of a mock. This is all 1x1 because I felt like I kept using 2x2. So I was like, oh, I'll try something different. Oh my God, this piece. This is 2 strands of the alpaca, but knit on 4mm needles. So the rib is on 3, which was somewhat dire, but I do need to go back and ultimately completely finish this or decide if I'm going to frog it. But the actual jumper, this is actually washed and blocked because essentially the jumper portion of this is done. It's just the little like add-on detail-y bits that I need to finish. Not too much to say about this. I don't know why I did this as a raglan. I think because I was working on so many other things at that time that, I don't know, we're just taking it out of me. I thought I just want to start something that is like really easy in the round top down, but kind of thinking more about this piece now, I feel like it would have made more sense having the splits to have done this as a drop shoulder. So maybe I'll finish this one and then redraft this pattern with different shoulder construction, just because I feel like it would make more sense for this kind of like line to come up here instead of like on a diagonal. But I don't think it's that deep. I think that's just me being picky, but I feel like I just don't have too much to say about this. I really like the color. This is in the dark pink, the Drops Alpaca dark pink, because the pinks that they have on the website on Wool Warehouse, the colors are like so not accurate. So if you're interested, this is actually the dark pink. Yeah, I guess we'll just move on from that one. I haven't worn this yet either, as you can tell, because we haven't woven in any of the ends. So the last actual full garment that I finished for myself was this one. This is knit using the, what is this? We Are Knitters the petite wool in the colorway Colorado. So I was gifted this not last year, not this year, maybe last year or the year before, so maybe like 2022 or 2023. And again, I don't have to speak about this, I was just gifted it, and basically it was just sat in stash, and I just wanted something that was really comfortable and that I could just wear like around the house. I literally live in like this sort of thing, like trackies, and I thought, like, considering I spend so much time knitting, it would be good if I actually had something that I could just like specifically to lounge in. So that's what this piece was. This knit up super quick because the yarn is quite chunky, or like chunkier than I'm used to. I think it says a 7 or 8 millimeter. But because it was chunkier, I kind of, I guess, challenged myself to a few new techniques, because I thought it's not too bad if we have to rip back or frog, because it just knits so quick anyway. So basically this is a drop shoulder but with the German short rows in. So this is the first one that I did with German short rows. So I don't know if you can see, yeah, like the shoulders are more on a slant, basically just like fits you better. And then the sleeves, so this isn't really, I say it's a drop shoulder, it's not as drop of a shoulder as some of the other things. So like this is a drop shoulder, right, where this seam is like lower down but my shoulder actually finishes like here. This cardigan, basically the seam is like here, like this portion is quite small, and then what I did is I did German short rows in like the sleeve head to basically give it that extra bit at the top that it needed. It's got 2x2 rib on the neck, the hem, etc. Folded over collar. I did better this time on the double knit button band. This is what the other one should have looked like. So this is a lot more flat. So I feel like you can kind of see, as I went through the year and like went through different pieces, you can kind of see like how I improved from the previous pieces. But yeah, went down a needle size, button band looks good. The only thing that I don't love about this is I think that the front of this neckline is too low, but it's also fine. I'm just really picky, I think. These buttons also don't all match. I think this one's different, these two are the same, and then the bottom three are the same or something like that. But they were all in stash and they all looked close enough that I just thought, fuck it, we'll just do it like that. I probably wouldn't pick this yarn out for myself now, just seeing how it knitted up. It's not really, I think, my style, I guess I would say, but for something that's just around the house, this yarn is nice. I feel like people have beef with yarn knitters, but I don't really know. But yeah, like I said, obviously this was gifted to me, I didn't want it to go to waste. So I've still got a couple balls of this left because it's so chunky. It's just like, I think I can't remember how many I used for this. I feel like I have 10, I think I had 10 balls of this, or like 8 or something, and used like 4 or 5. So yeah, that's that. This is the last piece that I properly finished for myself last year. So this video I've now been filming for just over an hour. So we're gonna like quickly run through. So I also knit my boyfriend's Christmas jumper. If you followed along in literally any video, you'd have probably seen this. I'm gonna put it here. This again, it was all over 2x2 rib. It was knit in Let Loopy, which is very rustic yarn. If you don't like rustic yarn, do not be buying that, because I'll tell you now, it was not that enjoyable. It blocked out super nice. But yeah, that was ongoing for quite a while at the end of the year. I also knit 5 pairs of penny gloves this year by Petite Knit. So that is literally the only pattern that I followed, was for those gloves. I knit 2 back in like May, June when we went to Northern Ireland, and then I knit 3 pairs for Christmas. I will of course try and put up another photo on the screen. So the ones I knit for Christmas were the pink, the navy and the green, but the green colour I they were the 2 pairs that I also knit at the beginning of the year. So I knit 3 pairs in the same colour of the same pattern of gloves. But yeah, those were all of the gift knits I think I knit this year. Yeah, like I said, I'm not going to dwell too much because that jumper that I knit for my boyfriend, like, is, I feel like I've spoken about it so much now, and it's in all the Vlogmases. So we'll just really quickly go through a couple of accessories and then my current whips. I knit this granny square scarf out of some leftover that I had. This is the same yarn as the first cardigan I made this year. This is the Hobbycraft cotton blend mixed with acrylic, obviously black, white and red. I feel like you know what a scarf looks like. So yeah, that was that. I also knit my first pair of socks. These are just vanilla socks. This was using the Summerly Sock Project book, Heel Flap and Gusset. This is using the opal sock yarn. I don't know what colourway it is because all the labels are in German and I think I've also lost it. But yeah, I literally haven't even taken these off the sock blockers, so this is just what they look like. I feel like there's definitely improvements to be made. You can see like where the end of my like magic loop were, but overall I'm just pleased with these. Like, they really do fit me perfectly. I was impressed with how quickly I knit the second one. I knit the first one. This was another thing that I took to Denmark but ultimately didn't finish because, to cut a long story short, I snapped one of my DPNs, but I do actually prefer metal magic loop on circumferences like this. So yeah, I like the yarn, I like the book, I like the pattern. I feel like I can't say too much on socks because I have never knit any other pair, but next year I do definitely want to get more into sock knitting. But I am probably going to film a like goals for next year, so I guess you have to keep an eye out for that. But yeah, this was one pair that I finished. And then on to, really quickly, my leftover whips. So this is something else that I'm knitting for some content for hobby. It's not something that I have to speak about or post about. It's called user generated content. So essentially it's content that they can use and not something that I have to do, if that makes sense. But I have very nearly finished this bolero. This is using the what's it called, upcycled alpaca silk. I want to say that this is limited edition. I don't think this is going to be a permanent thing on their website, but it's obviously 2x2 striped. It's essentially got this pattern of these 3 colors repeating, so the charcoal, the brown, and this, like, what would you even call this? It's not even a grey, it's just like a greyish brown. But anyway, it's like 1 2 3 1 2 3, and then it alternates between yellow and blue stripes in between, and the blue also alternates. These are kind of different. Yeah, I feel like you might just be able to see what I mean visually rather than me explaining it. So this is just going to be literally a little bolero. The only thing that I need to do to finish it off is basically just do one entire border around like this whole front section. So it's basically a raglan with no front, and obviously weave in my ends, block it, etc. I will say, without dwelling on this, I actually really like this yarn. This is very nice in terms of, it's like I was saying with that green jumper, it's not super soft. She is nowhere near rustic. Like, it's one of them yarns that is just like on you and it doesn't bother you, and it's just nice. I feel like it's got maybe like not shine, but like, I don't know, it's got quite a limited colour range, I will say, but I think they all look really nice together. So this is quite a lot of the colours. I didn't use any of the pinky tones. There are a couple, so yeah, if you're interested, that's what this is. I'm excited to finish this. I just haven't done it yet because basically the next thing I'm going to show you, my really long cable is in that and I need it for this. So this is something I'll be finishing very, very soon. So this is the thing with my long cable. So as you know by now, I love a raglan. I just love knitting raglans. It's just so nice to go down in the round. You don't have to pick up anywhere. This is the other lot of the drops air that I was saying I ordered when I was knitting on that pink one. So it's obviously going to be blue with green stripes. I feel like that goes without saying. I can't remember exactly what colorways these are. If you're interested, you can definitely comment and I'll see if I can let you know. So the difference with this one is this is going to be a v-neck. So I don't know, you probably haven't noticed, but I have actually never knit a v-neck before, and I really love, there's this one that I saw, it literally popped up on my TikTok randomly, of this girl wearing this like really nice knitted striped v-neck knit. That was a mouthful. And after I was knitting that thing for hobby, I realised I really don't have many striped things. So this is what this is going to be. I have just basically started picking up for the whole of the button band, neckline, etc. So this is where my like long conjoined cable is. Does that make sense? It's like coming out of here. So I basically just need to finish off like all this button band and stuff, and then I can take the cable and swap my needles and finish off that other one. Like I said, it's just a raglan. The reason that I chose to do a raglan for this was because I liked the idea of the stripes going around and not being like cut off like it would be on a drop shoulder, if that makes sense. So I feel like I should finish this pretty quickly because I knit sleeves super fast in comparison to bodies. And so once I have finished that other one, I feel like this is going to be pretty easy going. I'm essentially going to do like a kind of tapered sleeve. I don't want it to be too wide. And then, yeah, I need to also pick out some buttons for this. But like I've already said, I do really like the drops there. I know some people have had issues with it peeling. I don't think I've worn mine enough to really experience that yet. But I don't know. I think it's cute. And I think it's quite different to anything else that I've knitted this year, so I'm excited to see how much more I get out of this when it's finished. We are officially on the last thing now. So my boyfriend went to Denmark, not when we went this year but the year before, and he bought me some what's it called, eco melange wool, which is a mix of either alpaca and wool or alpaca and merino, and I have finally gotten around to using it. I have started knitting myself this like fold back mitten. It's like just one of these. It's gonna have like a button here. I obviously need to do like a little thumb portion, but this is just where I'm at. I feel like this is not bad going for a first, like my own first glove pattern. I was at this point like I cannot knit myself, or I cannot knit another pair of penny gloves. So yeah, I am maybe thinking of doing like a pattern for this, and or like even just like a tutorial video, just like a really super simple like first mitten or like fold back mitten thing. But I will say this yarn is super nice. He bought me 3 balls of it, and this whole glove I haven't even used one. I probably used maybe like 60% of the first ball. So I don't know what I'm going to do with the leftovers, but yeah, the reason that I haven't finished this or knitted the next one is because I haven't decided if I'm going to do a video on it yet. So if you've made it this far and you do want one, let me know. Okay, we're just gonna run through the acquisitions. So like I said, I ordered myself the Rowan Island blend fine in essentially black. I can't remember exactly what the colorway is called. It's not called black, but it's like a really dark grey black. So that I ordered for myself last night, but clearly it isn't going to be here yet. But I just thought I'd quickly show you a couple of things that I got for Christmas because they are knit related. So from 2 of my friends, this was actually uncoordinated, so there was like one each, but they didn't tell each other they were buying me this, which is quite funny. So from one of my friends, I got this recycled banana yarn. I don't know if any of you have ever seen banana yarn before. It is really like, it looks super silky, and it's so funny that she bought me this because I had literally been eyeing this up, and just like I've been on a yarn ban pretty much, and I'm pretty much going to be like next year unless I actually get like vouchers and stuff, or like that thing I bought is specifically to do the pattern with, but I have so much in stash I literally don't need to buy any more. So I hadn't bought this for myself, so it was just funny that she had seen this and bought this for me. She actually is someone that knits and crochets as well. She helped, she was one of my testers for my granny square jacket. So yeah, this is super nice and very silky. I feel like I'll probably make a accessory or something with this. And then my other friend got me this cone, which is like, I don't think this is a mohair because it almost feels too soft. I feel like it is maybe like a silk and alpaca or something, but I feel like these would be super cute holding them together, especially because I got given them like at the same time. So yeah, this is really cute. I feel like you guys might appreciate seeing an interesting yarn. And then yeah, from my parents for Christmas, I had to ask for these specifically. They wouldn't probably know where to even start with knitting books. I got the Rose knitting book. This is going to be backwards. I'm clocking that now as I'm looking at it on the screen. But like I said, I don't really follow patterns. The reason that I wanted this so much is because I love her use of colour and scraps and just different techniques in that sort of sense. So I obviously don't want to show you too much, but like things like this, I feel like I would be able to incorporate in some of my own designs and stuff. And some of these patterns I actually am really tempted to make. I don't know when or if I definitely will, but yeah, I really love them. Like this top, you guys may have seen the jumper of this. I think it's called the Off-Grid sweater. That is what really inspired me to get into knitting, because obviously I've been crocheting for a long time. That jumper is always like something that I come back to. So I don't know, you may see it pop up in my goals video, I don't know yet. But yeah, I've been a long time follower of Rose knitting, and I just really appreciate having this book. I kind of collect like knitting books. You can't really see down there, but like, I don't know, I just like having them as resources, and this is just stunning. And so many people have messaged me and said like it's so good. So yeah, that was the first one. The next one is this book of specifically top-down sweaters. So I feel like this maybe is not for everyone. I feel like this is very good if you're interested in self-drafting or maybe like pattern writing and stuff. There are some patterns in here, but it's more specifically like, I don't know, a lot of like measurements and grading things. And it basically just goes through different constructions. So it goes through like, let me see if I can get a list. So it goes through like seamless yokes, like circular yokes, raglans, set-in sleeves, everything like that. I feel like I just wanted this because next year, a big goal of mine is going to be to release more of my own patterns and just, yeah, include more design elements. I mean, you can kind of see, like, hopefully there's not too much of a glare. You can kind of see on the front like all the different things. So I think this will be really good to have. I've just been like itching my face and now it's like going red, so we'll try and ignore that. This one, which is the book of Vogue knitting stitches. So you probably can't really see, I do actually have a Vogue knitting book up there, which I got from charity shops where I get a lot of my books from. But this one is basically what it says. It's a huge stitch dictionary. So again, I'm not trying to like show you too much of what's in here, just trying to show you like a good page. It is literally just like all these, like every page is like this. It's so many different stitches. So there's like cables, lace, color work, like literally anything you can think of pretty much. I do have another book which is like specifically stitches, which these sort of things I feel like are invaluable when you're designing. And the very last thing that I got is actually a yarn swift. I'm not sure how this is gonna go opening this up. Okay, yeah, you can kind of see. So I quite clearly didn't have one of these before, and I used to basically make my brother sit with like his arms out and help me wind up all of my hanks. So I'm very pleased to have that, and I think he's probably very pleased as well, considering he bought that for me. So yeah, that is actually officially everything. I have been filming for an hour and 20 minutes, so I'm not going to keep you any longer. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it through to the end. Like I said a couple times, all kind of like up-to-date stuff is on Instagram, and I will leave my online shop linked below if you want to have a look. I'm also selling some of my old stash yarn cones if you're interested in some yarn. I think that's really everything. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and of course if you want to see more from me, then like and subscribe. I'm hoping to get a couple more videos out at the beginning of the year of like my goals and stuff, and like specific things that I want to make next year. So if you don't want to miss out, definitely stick around. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.